for an enlightening experience where you will gain a deeper understanding of the purpose and essence of opening your eyes. This is your chance to enhance self-awareness and personal growth with a shift in perception that provides a fresh outlook on life. Embrace the journey from consciousness to superconsciousness. Coming live by Barrett Kunyan.
Well, here we are again, and we have lovely Olivia. Welcome to the Activation or Back
Thank
by
you.
Studio.
It's lovely to be here again.
No, it's a real joy to have you back. And today we'll be discussing the origins of our fall. But just to get the theme going, I was just gonna, if we're all comfortable, and I'm sure we are, I was just gonna ask you a question before we start. And I believe we've got a bit of a slideshow as well, which is quite detailed and excited to see. My question is reference to what caused the downgrade, because from what I picked up from you last time, we kind of like we were saying about 12D, and then we've got the downgrade to where we are at the moment, which is the 3D, which is like the past. But I'll get you to explain what actually caused this to happen, the memory loss and not remembering stuff like that. So I'll hand the mic to you. Welcome. Good to see you.
Hello again, everybody. So, after the last interview, I came to a conclusion that because we were actually talking a lot about the ascension process that we are at right now, and I thought that in order to gain a deeper understanding of what actually it means that I called Earth a noble planet with the amazing potential that we can actually make it back to the source, you could say, in just 900 years. Normally, it would be a process that would take billions of years, eons, literally. In order to make that happen, we need to understand why did we de-evolved, because we can call this current state of this planet where nobody remembers anything. We barely remember anything, and it's not just even not remembering our past lives, because some people don't even know that there is something like past lives, but we don't even remember precisely our childhood, our fetal integration. So in order to be able to comprehend how we can actually find our way back, reconnect with ourselves, we need to come back to the cause of what actually happened, our fall. So even though this title might seem a little bit of negative to other people, it's actually about understanding what happened and what is the solution for it.
Well, that's great. We're looking forward to seeking the answers from within. Before we get into the slide, maybe we can talk a little bit now reference to what people can do to enhance the reconnection, shall we say, to become more conscious aware and to remember our journey back to that original state and beyond. Because what I also picked up, we will not necessarily go back to 12D. We will go even higher. So that's really, really exciting, isn't it, really?
Absolutely. So we will be talking about the past, a past which is very, very distant, because our time matrix was created 950 billion years ago. That's a very, very long time. And it's all like measured in Earth terms, because when we are in other space-times, the feeling of the speed of time, it's much different. So it's like that's how we perceive it, that wow, it's a long time. I mean, 10 years is quite long. What about 950 billion years, right? But in order to actually heal yourself in these times, it's actually working with the past. Because we understand our time as simultaneous, meaning that whatever happens in the present, it's been affected by the past and the future. Our point of action in the mechanics of manifestation is always the present. So if we keep thinking why we keep repeating the same patterns, why does it keep happening to us? We often ask ourselves these questions, especially in the beginning of our awakening. We need to come back to our past. And it's done by simply just sitting in a comfortable chair, closing your eyes, and coming back to these moments that you feel that have made a difference on you, and the moments that you found traumatic, that you found, well, people often say that they would like to change something. I wish I could just come back in time and just change it, right? But you can do it. That's the thing. You can always come back to this moment and in your own projection, make a different decision. Stand up for yourself. Tell something to someone you normally wouldn't say in 3D. And since our thoughts are things, all of this is basically having a huge impact on our present. And from this point of the present, you are also affecting your future vectors. So working with the past imprints is going to have a positive impact on your whole existence, actually. And once you manage to work through the imprints from your current incarnation, you will be able to come back to a very, very distant past, because people don't even realize that they are actually carrying the imprints of something called the Yani massacre, that we won't be talking about today, but it's also a very traumatic event for the human collective, actually. Fall of Atlantis, we all heard about it. But if we go just like very, very back, we can even remember that it's like some of us had their incarnations even before having like incarnation as an angelic human that we are. Some of us were actually a part of this time matrix ever since it started existing. And all of the events that happened at that time actually also caused these traumas. So it's a very, very long process, but we are healing all our time vectors that we are located on, and we bring it to the center, which is the present. And from the present, we are spreading this frequency that is going to help us fully integrate and find our way out of here.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And I take it, because with this biofeedback mechanism that we have, because every action has a reaction, and how people generally react. I mean, people not necessarily need to be triggered in a certain way, because when you're very centered and you're calm, you're still, and you're projecting love, compassion, empathy, sensitiveness, and so you can remark and feel the presence of other people, or how present they are, how well anchored they are in this so-called now moment. So we are sort of like, we are creating a very good atmosphere as we become more aligned. That's really, really exciting. Yes, I was going to say, is there a special moment where you want to begin with? Because at the end, I'm sure we'll get some questions coming in. Do you want me to start presenting, or do you want to have a little bit more?
I suggest that we begin, yes, because there
Yes.
will be quite a lot of things to cover up. Like there are about 12 slides, if I remember correctly. However, we will be stopping by each of these slides, and there will be a lot of different things to talk about. So I suggest that we begin.
Okay, here goes. All right, so this is Origins of Our Fall. And here we have something very interesting. I'm sure you'll furnish us with some kind of explanation
Yes.
with this stuff?
So this is called the Katara grid. And I want to present a little bit of something called the sacred geometry first. It's not the geometry of Metatron, because if you think, you could also call this imprint the tree of life. But actually, the tree of life in the Kabbalah teachings, it's having 11 centers, if you remember, 11 or 10 centers. But this is actually the real divine template. This is actually the core of our creation. That's why it's called the core manifestation template. Because these Katara centers, like these balls, these 12 balls in this geometric configuration, they are not just energetic centers. I mean, you can consider them in many ways, actually. Each of these Katara centers is also located in our body, as I will show later on other slides, but it's also a cosmic map. Can you imagine it? It's also presenting a stargate. These are actually like a map of the universal stargates. So we look at it in terms of our anatomy, but also in terms of a cosmic structure, as above, so below. So that's why we also have like a map of the stargates in our solar system, in our galaxy, and in our universe, and also in our body. And each of these Katara centers also corresponds to each of our chakras, but I won't be getting deeper into that because I want to focus mainly on actually explaining why is this so important. So each of these Katara centers actually corresponds to a dimension, to a dimensional spectra. So like the center 3 corresponds to dimension 3. So if we were supposed to locate ourselves right now on this grid, we would be on number 3. And that's quite important to remember, because actually we can also overlay these grids on each other, and that's going to become important as we move forward. However, we are located in dimension 3. That's why we are on the third Katara center. If we are supposed to look into it, Earth is actually the place where the universal stargates 3 are located. And why is this so important? That's because Earth is like a battlefield. It has always been, because of its location. The 3, 6, and 9, this is a configuration, and actually 12 as well. This is the configuration of something called the Amoreya passage. And the Amoreya passage is, like you could say, a wonderful way to accrete all of these frequencies and be able to activate your Merkaba and Amoreya Merkaba and be vector free. That means you could travel between the stargates, because actually what the Merkaba field is all about, the Merkaba vehicle, as it's getting activated, it's becoming a vehicle. You can travel between the stargates, and the different races in this universe are using these Katara grids as maps. They use it as maps because they know where to travel. Okay, if I want to travel from Earth to Sirius, what gates am I going to use? So it's all very much fun if you look at it this way, that you can create different cosmic maps. And understanding that this is the core manifestation template, which on everything is manifesting, is also making us think, okay, then why in the Kabbalah teachings we are having just 11 centers? Well, there's some really big distortion in here. If you take a look at this grid, you will notice that it's actually in very specific geometry, but actually like the proportions of it are 2:1. So this is creating like something pretty much divine, something which is sacred. And when you're drawing this Katara grid, I've done that several times, you need to pay attention to every single center to make sure it's aligned with the other. What some fractions of this on this planet have done was to remove the 12th Katara center. And that disconnected us from something called the Christ consciousness, where dimension 12 is where the Maharata current is coming, the current which is like, you could say, because there are 15 dimensions in our universe, but up to 12, there is matter, like different forms of liquid matter. And dimension 12 is the one where you actually already start to lose your form and becoming pure energy. But without the dimension 12, on which actually like every single organic structure in our universe is based on something called the Christ code. And the Christ code is based on this Katara grid program, the core manifestation program. So once this program is getting distorted, when the 12th center is getting reversed or like removed from the structure, literally cut off, you can imagine that you're being cut off from the source. Because later this Katara grid is connecting to another Katara grid. And without the center 12, we are getting disconnected from even higher frequencies. And also very often what I notice on my sessions is that people are ungrounded. And what that actually means, if you look at center 1, center 1 is actually located in the earth core. All people have their center 1 in their bodies located in the earth core. So once the center is being distorted, they start to be ungrounded. The connection is being lost. That's why connecting to Mother Earth is also actually connecting through our Katara grid to the Katara grid of the planet.
Well, that's amazing information. Thank you for that. Do you want to go? Shall I go on to the next slide?
Yes, in case you have any questions, like on this matter.
Nothing comes to mind for me at the moment. So
Yeah, there was quite a lot, so just wanted to make sure everything is clear. Because
yeah.
just so everyone knows, Barrett is learning it with the rest of the people who are watching, so this is quite a nice experience.
Absolutely. So I'll click on to the next slide.
So this is just an image representing actually the Katara grid and how it's located in our body. You can see that all of these centers are located in specific areas of our human body. So it's again, as I said, as above, so below. So actually, as the planet is having its own Katara grid structure, so do we. And now, when the planet starts to get distorted, like when the galaxy is being cut off from center 12, and the planet is being cut off from the center 12, we also do, because we are connected to the planet. As I said, we are being connected through center 1, and this is called actually something called the planetary biofeed interface system. That's how the planet is feeding us with energy through the Katara grid, and it's starting from center 1, going up to center 12. So this way we're actually having a connection with the planet, which has a connection to the galaxy and with the universe. So you can see this way that it's like people say everything is connected, and it sounds beautiful and it's so true, and it's mainly thanks to this divine template. So I guess we can go to the next one.
Yes, slide 4 coming up. Here we are. The God words.
So this one is getting a bit complex, but I thought that I would show this one because I would like people to understand a little bit on also how these Katara grids fit into the universal structure. So as I said, that like one small Katara grid, you could say it's our local universe, our Milky Way galaxy, and actually we mainly move through the stargates. So like the scientists talking about, this huge space, that it would take light ages to get to a certain place in the universe. Well, we don't have to do that because we can use portals. And that's even what the different races are doing. When they are traveling from one place to another, they always use the stargates. Because what is actually this void? It's like the magnetic repulsion zone. Between each of the density, there is a magnetic repulsion zone that we perceive as huge void, while these are actually these dimensions being separated from each other to some degree. So to look at the structure closer, when we have this Eka-Veka system, these are actually these 4 Katara grids connecting in one center. And there is like this very, very small Katara grid in the middle, and this is called the Eka. These 4 Katara grids surrounding the Eka are called the Vekas, the 4 Veka quadrants actually. And we are just in that quadrant in the bottom, this red one, you could say. And these 4 Veka quadrants are being composed into a big, huge Katara grid. Well, not so big because there are bigger ones, but they are being composed into something called an Akasha. And the Akasha, if I remember correctly from the teachings, you could say it's like your universe that is seen by scientists. The scientists haven't gone further than the Akasha level from what they were trying to see through the telescopes, let's say, even though the sky is a little bit displayed as well, but we won't be getting into that. And the 4 Akashas are being composed into the Akasha A. And the Akasha A is also being held in a huge Katara grid. And just like before, the 4 Akasha A's are being composed into 1 Akasha Aya, also called the Yunasai. And when we get into the Yunasai, it's very important because also the Yunasai is like the central sun of this universe, of this time matrix. So when we look at the structure, you can also see that this final structure of the Akasha Aya, the Yunasai, this small image with this blue ring around it, it's also creating like a cross with all of its arms equal. And this is called the Rushei cross. And this is the sacred cross, actually. This is the kind of cross that if we feel like wearing crosses, we can wear, right? Because it's sacred. Because it's actually coming straight from the universal structure. That's how these systems create. And as I said before, there is this Christ code. So all of them follow the Christ code. There are bigger universal structure than this, but this is like, let's say, the basic to understand on how actually these systems merge with each other, and that they are all based on the Katara grid.
Wow, that's a lot to take in, but it will be done. So I'll click on the next slide. Here we are.
So when we are talking about the source, we can actually talk about the source from many levels, because we can talk about actually the suns being like the sources of creating different kinds of universes, solar systems, right? But when we talk about like the center of our time matrix, and when I refer to time matrix, I'm talking about our local universe. The point of the beginning is the Yunasai, also called by different stellar races the center point of all union, the eternal consciousness, actually. The Yunasai is, I've been saying it many times in my visions. When I saw it the first time, I was feeling half blind for most of the day, because the energy emanating from it was so pure, so strong, that it just made my cells burn. While even not fully my consciousness went there, it's just like I suddenly saw it in my vision. I was like, and I heard this word and like these singing tonations. So that was quite of a deep experience that happened quite shortly after my awakening. So when we are talking about anything manifesting, it's all coming from the Yunasai, from the central point of all union. And whenever I try to explain someone, okay, so how come something eternal could have come out and become like manifested? So it's like when everything comes into union with the Yunasai, it's eternal, it's oneness, it's everything. But once the Yunasai starts to individuate, you could imagine it like a dot, a point of single vibration. And this vibration is individuated. It's still connected to the Yunasai, but it starts its own cycle of creation. And that's actually, like, you could say, like a unit of the primal substance. It's also called in terms of the unified physics as a particle unit. You could call it in different ways, or you could just simply say it's a dot, and from that dot everything starts to follow the divine blueprint, the Christ code, and everything is following that blueprint and manifesting on the base of the Katara grid.
Wow. You know, when you were saying about your awakening, can you put a timeline onto that? You know, what age? Because you're, I think a lot of viewers don't realize how young you are. You know, I mean, what are we talking about? Like a year, 2 years ago, or
3.5, actually, if I remember correctly.
yeah.
That was in the very beginning, when there was still a lot of this inner, maybe not darkness, but some misalignments to integrate.
Mhm.
And these visions that I was getting, I felt like I was being very deeply guided. And
Okay.
no matter what kind of thoughts were going through my head, the process of my awakening was being very much orchestrated by my higher self, because I knew that I'm here to do something different than most people. And so I was guided into these teachings that I am talking about today,
Yes.
that are being taught by Ashaya Nadine. So if anyone is interested into looking more in depth into that, I base it on her teachings and on my own insights. That's why I like to talk about what I saw, so people could also, it's not like I'm just reading about it and just presenting it, but it's also like every time I was going into these teachings, I was getting my own awakenings. So there are like different stages to that as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. So I'll go on to the number six slide.
All
Yes.
right. So we were talking about the point of vibration, and I put an emphasis on the word vibration because the vibration is directly corresponding to the word sound. It's related to the sound. The sound doesn't have to be loud, it doesn't have to be audible. It could be also a silent sound. That's quite important to know, because right now when we are having the eternal host, we are also having like the silent sound councils. And with the yonas that I will be talking about, they also actually they vibrate and they emit sound, but these are also the infrasounds. So we might be like I don't know if you ever had that, but it's like you're like, I hear something, and you might be kind of having this clear audience that you hear these sounds, but you don't hear them physically. But these are the infrasounds, and like these higher sounds that your over consciousness understands, understands, but you cannot physically hear them. And with I use the word Kandaray, because actually when we are talking about the Kandaray, we are talking about something called the primal sound fields. The primal sound fields is something also called the energy matrix. And if you look at this diagram, we are again having the structure of actually 15 dimensions, because we are going above the 12. As I said in the beginning, we've got 15 dimensions. And they are being surrounded by something called the energy matrix. The energy matrix was something that was actually, you could say, if you try to put it in a linear sequence, even though there is no time there, let's say the primal sound fields were first, and then the other dimensions. So they are pretty much the core. This is what starts to emanate from the Yonasai. And the Yonas are actually like this. This is our cosmic family of consciousness. People who are ascended masters. It's like, I don't like to use that term because it's often being used in a wrong way. However, they come directly from these fields, incarnating all the way along to our dimension 3. And they are ascended because they have a very high coding directly from these fields. It's not like they don't have to. We all come from those fields, but it's like many souls are like, first going into, let's say, dimension 10, then 5, and then to dimension 3. But those souls which make a direct incarnation from the energy matrix to this dimension, you could say they are called the ascended masters or the indigo children. That's the same, actually. The indigo children are the ascended masters from the gray line. So the three collectives of the energy matrix, maybe I will say their names. So they are called the Grande Yonas, Lasha Yonas, and the Ram Yonas. These are the three collectives that actually exist in the energy matrix. There are like 3 different levels of this energy matrix, and each one of them is having more and more connection to the source. So like you've got the triadic, polaric, and the ecatic. And the ecatic is like the first one, and then you've got these different layers coming inside it. So when we are talking about the Yonas, they are like our... when I'm thinking about them, it's actually quite difficult to define them. They are like, you cannot see their form because they are just the pure sound. They are the pure frequency. So you might get a feel of them, but to get exact visions, it's quite difficult. You might feel their vibration. So when we are talking about what actually started, we have the Unasai as this eternal point of the whole union. And then we've got the Yonas, which come from this energy matrix that you could say is giving energy to the whole time matrix that is inside it, because we've got the energy matrix, which are the primal sound fields, and then the 15 dimensions of a time matrix.
Wow. And when you mentioned, ascended masters, their primary role, I guess, and this is like I've heard this word called grid workers. So the connection between that and this, I take it that they're sort of like activating parts of the world, right? Or because they're pretty conscious of what they're doing. Do they need to be in specific places, specific regions?
They feel where they are supposed to be. The grid workers, yes, they are very often the indigo children, the ascended masters. And what they do is like, because they come from such pure energy fields, they kept the encryption of those fields.
Yeah.
And they just come with this pure, infinite, eternal encryption, and they spread the frequency. They spread the frequency, and this way they assist other souls, which very often got stuck, let's say, in dimension 5, and they descended to dimension 3, because it's like Earth is like, you could say, it's easier to ascend from Earth than from, let's say, dimension 5, because of the damage that has been done there. Earth is still being very much hosted. So many of the souls come as starseeds to assist the planet as well. And the ascended masters, you could say, some of them are leaders, but very often they are actually just here, just spreading the frequency and doing what they know they are supposed to do.
I mean, yeah, thanks for that. I mean, no kidding. I mean, if you're privileged enough to encounter an ascended master, which I claim that I have personally, is the fact that they are significantly game changers. I mean, in your frequency, because I'm one of those people. I automatically give the feedback back as an acknowledgement, saying thank you, because I mean, it's like you feel more neutralized, you feel more centered yourself, you go much deeper inside yourself, you become more fully aligned, and you see things completely differently. So because someone could ask, well, how do you know when you're in the presence of an ascended master, or
You just
because
feel it.
yeah, the
But
impact.
some people don't even realize, because what is very funny about ascended masters is that they are like the frequency activators. So their energy is very pure, and they often struggle with loneliness, being misunderstood by other people, because it's like they come from the future, actually.
Right.
So people who come across them, all of the misalignments are just coming out in their presence.
Right.
And their ego comes in the play,
Mm.
So they are often very much feeling totally, isolated from this world, different than others. And
Yeah.
it's coming from the fact that they carry the pure frequency that some people are not yet ready to embody in themselves.
As you're talking, the word that has really landed on me is the word need, because there is no need. When you're operating from abundance, there is no need for anything, because if you truly are aligned with abundance, what do you lack? What is it
Nothing
that
at
you
all.
need? You know. So
People when we were talking about the virtues last time, it's like one of them is the prosperity. And the prosperity, it's not really about what you have in this materialistic world. It's about what you have in you.
absolutely,
So the ascended masters or the indigo children, they are aware of that. And people very often just cannot fully understand why they are just happy while they don't have a lot when they look at them. While it's actually about the fact that they are supposed to do a certain mission here,
yeah,
and they know what is right.
Thank you for that. I mean, for me personally, and what I'm feeling, the energies that are coming through is, for me, the big barometer is the immensity of the peace that you carry, because the more at ease you are, that's again a very powerful coded signature impression. No need for words. It's a full-on activation, and people, it does truly impact. So that's
Yes,
that it really relates to me, and I'm very honored to be here right now, sharing this, because I really feel this as real nectar. I mean, it's no kidding,
yeah, you feel
because
it in your heart. It's
you can't you
vibrating
can't
right
you
now,
can't
right?
you can't fake it. Why would you? I mean, it's
Exactly. And when we are talking about all of these things that might seem very complex, pretty much crazy to some degree, it's
right.
like you should think what kind of feelings this is bringing you, because the logical mind might be feeling confusion, but your heart might be feeling peace coming from these teachings.
Well, yeah, it's letting go, because the and I'm grateful for that. I think it's great. Gratitude is the most powerful, because in order to for lessons not to repeat, you have to thank the lesson, because if you're doing it through anger, then you haven't learned your lesson. So if you're anchored at a place where you're saying thank you so much for that lesson, that's when it sort of you move on, and they say time speeds up. It's because you're kind
You
of.
oscillate higher, your
Yeah,
frequencies are higher, so
yeah,
time is speeding up.
and you notice more around you as well. You have a bigger spectrum of your perception. Your senses are much sharper. You start noticing things that weren't necessarily apparent. They were there, but you didn't notice it before it becomes more visible, where certain things were off the radar, if you like, and suddenly it's crystal. It becomes extremely clear. Brilliant. No, that's really good. Should I click on
Yes,
the
let's proceed.
number 7? Here we are, 9:50.
Okay, so we kind of get to a specific point where it all started. And when I say our universe is born, I mean that the life starts in this universe. Because let's say it's been created for some time. And now we have the creation of this universe and the 3 primary founders races. And each of these founder races is holding a flame, let's say. It's representing a certain flame of frequency. We've got the emerald flame, the golden flame, and the amethyst flame. I kind of use this emerald flame because actually the emerald flame is holding the frequency of the other 2 as well. So it's like it's holding the frequency of all of them. So the life has started actually in Lyra. The cradle of Lyra, that's how it's called in some of the teachings as well, not just the ones that I'm presenting. This is the seeding point of life in our time matrix. This is where it all began. There are quite actually a lot of Lyrians on this planet, a lot of starseeds who are Lyrians, and Lyrians are very, very old souls because many of them have begun the life in this time matrix just after its creation. So it's billions of billions of billions of years of existence. And some of them managed to ascend, come back to the Unasai, but they decided to come back again. So it's like many of them decided to also support the universe, especially after all of these events that occurred afterwards. So when we are talking about the first races that came into existence, we've got the Elohim races, and these are like the feline hominid races. So these are actually the races that also we humans are related to, because actually the Elohim were the races that later created the angelic human prototype. I would like to discern here though, because there are many conversations about the Elohim. It's quite an popular word, right? When we get into all of these esoteric related things. So I use the Elohim are the Christic races, meaning that they spread love and they spread the frequency. But later on, a part of the Elohim races have separated, have fallen, have separated from the Christ consciousness, and they are called the Anu Elohim, but they present themselves as Elohim. So many people who get the channeling from the Elohim races, these are not always the Elohim races, these Christic ones, right? So that's something to discern for people who are into this kind of stuff. We also have the Seraphim races, and we have, we could say that they are the bird people. The bird people, also the reptilians actually, at first, they were very good. They were Christic. And the reptilians, for example, they are related to the Seraphim races. We also have the Brahmarama races. And one of these types of races, I'm just giving examples basically, are called the whale people. And they are like a cloister, a bit of the Elohim races and a bit of the Seraphim. It's like, you could say they are in between. And also like the Pegasus races. All of these aquatic animals, they are actually related to the Brahmarama, because actually all of the animals that we have on this planet, they have been brought by many different races as kind of an experiments. So for example, right now the dolphins, they are emitting a specific frequency. That is, they are like the guardians of our oceans and seas. They keep up the frequency. So the evolution on Lyra was for a very long time peaceful, in love. And it was in the fourth density, so it was in dimensions 10, 11, and 12. So they were all evolving in a peaceful and loving way, and all of these seedings, they actually took place through the stargates. So in order to go into dimension 10, they were going through different stargates to achieve that. So these races, they were since the beginning very conscious. They had a very like small density. Basically, they had no density. They were like very etheric beings, you could say. And the evolution was peaceful, and all of them had the knowledge about the universe, about the source. It was all in their DNA template, actually.
I mean, it's the the biodiversity of where we are at the moment is just, excuse me, incredible. But again, the how we interact is so important. Reference point being do no harm. That's why I mean, excuse me, that essentially is extremely important, right?
Yes.
Because if you're holding that purity and that unconditional love, what I'm feeling right now is it holds a very powerful moral compass in how you're navigating through everything. So, and of course, you're leaving markers. So, and everything can, can feel that, right? Because it has consciousness. So it's also picking it up.
Absolutely. We could say actually that we are extremely lucky because we chose to be born on a planet which is actually holding the frequencies of all of the three founders races. They all seeded a little bit of themselves into this planet, if you put it this way. So, in order to come back into these lovely times of the peaceful evolution, we need to treat every single life form in an equal and loving way. So that's what they were doing in the beginning before they fell, which I will get into in a moment. They were
Yeah.
interacting with each other. It's not like the Elohim races, the
Mm,
Seraphim, the Braharamas. They were all seeing each other, interacting, visiting each other on different planets. So
mm,
it was
mm.
like from our point of view, it was like a utopia, you could say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it was lovely, it was happy, and it was just
Yeah,
the way it was supposed to be.
one thing that I've also noted, I'm sure viewers have this connection as well, is to raise the frequency is to smile. I do it because first of all, I enjoy doing it, and it really does raise beautiful. I mean, eyebrows. I mean, people when you're smiling, because normally it's like you need to have a genuine reason why people are smiling. If you're happy, you smile. But for me, being centered, and sometimes I feel that people are sort of not in that happy mode place, and they can get triggered in the most simple way possible. And to when you start smiling and laughing and being a bit giggly, it does wonders. So that's a good precursor to bear in mind. I just want.
Yes, because we have to remember about something. We used to be exactly like these races. I mean, we are related to them. What
Mm,
happened to us was also like a digression, being also breeded by force with the races which don't hold this template. I mean, they did in the past, but they made this conscious choice to absolutely just get rid of it, get rid of this connection to 12D, because that's actually this Christ consciousness which is assisting us to embody everything that we were just talking about, smiling, being happy, pure, loving, innocent in context of just sending pure energy towards everyone. So when we are looking into this, we have to remember that any of these behaviors which are out of integrity, they come from these reversals that we are having and from these reversals that we need to clear.
Yes, that's brilliant, brilliant, great. Do you want me to click on the next one?
Yes, let's proceed.
Okay, there it goes.
All right. So this image has a specific meaning why I chose it here. I'm gonna get into that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So what started happening actually? I would say that's at some point even heartbreaking to a degree when I started reading about it, but it's the past that we need to face and it's the past that we need to deal with. What happened after these billions of years of peaceful evolution is that a part of these reptilian Omicron races, the Omicron draconian races, they started to digress, they started to de-evolve. And they wanted to start conquering this universe, having the stargates just for themselves. And the conflict began, you could say. These are the fallen seraphim races, the draconian and the reptilians. But there was also one more fraction, which actually was created from the breeding of the Elohim races and the Braharama races. They created the races called the Anu, or the Anu later on. The Anu and then the Anunnaki, right? So the Anu races, they asked the higher councils, because we have to remember that we've got these founder races, but these let's say like the guardians of them, because all of them were guardians of the stargates, but the races that created them, these pure energies that we were talking about a few slides back, they were always watching over their peaceful evolution. If there was any kind of thing that they needed to solve, they were always there for them. So the Anu races have applied to these higher councils to completely destruct the reptilian races. But these are very loving essences, and they were mostly up for the regeneration of them. It's like if someone is doing a crime, we're not, in the past it was death, now we are putting this person to the place where they are supposed to be, right? But so they decided that it's not going to happen. So these two fractions started to fight with each other, and this is known as the Lyrian Elohim Wars. What happened during these wars is it's called Fall of Lyra Aramatena. And this is also referred in the Bible as the original sin. Why is that? Because that's the first major destruction that happened in our time matrix. When we were talking about the stargates and the dimension 12, this stargate 12 was destroyed. And that cut us off from the Christ consciousness, and that also locked us in this time matrix, meaning that different energy essences were able to enter the time matrix, but they weren't able to get out of it to the energy matrix, to the primal sound fields. That gateway was closed. So that was a huge destruction. And this was also the beginning of a major destruction that started to happen in our galaxy, because I don't know if you're aware of that. I don't remember if I mentioned it before, but are you aware of the fact that in the center of our Milky Way there is a black hole?
Yes,
Do you think it's
pretty
organic?
aware. I'd say no, but part
You're
of me
correct. It's not organic. Because the scientists, what they are watching is a dead universe. They watch the stars having their death cycles. Like there's like a blue star, then a orange, red. I'm not getting into that because these are actually the studies of the dead galaxies, on the distorted galaxies. And that's when it actually started. About 200 billion years ago, when the fall of Aramatena happened. Aramatena is like the planet in dimension 12 in Lyra. And when Aramatena fell, we stopped having the connection to the Christ consciousness. And that started causing further distortions in the template structure. And that's when this black hole in the center of our Milky Way started to get created. Right now it's being called the Abaddon wormhole. I've been to that place, and it's been one of the, I won't say the worst, because it wasn't like, it wasn't a pleasant experience, but it was a very educating experience, but it was one of the most dense places I've ever been to. When I went inside that black hole, because I had to save someone's soul from that place, because they are dragging souls into the black hole systems. Just last week, I woke up in the morning and I was like, okay, well, today I'm having 2 sessions with children, so it's going to be pleasant and nice, and I'm gonna get some rest because I don't think it will be challenging energetically, right? Because these are children, pure essences, but I was exhausted because I was actually in 5 different black hole systems. That's how they are infiltrating children right now, stealing their consciousness through fear, through video games as well. They contain a lot of connections, channels. So I was in 5 different black hole systems because the consciousness was dragged to these places. If you project inside the black hole, you might see things which at first might seem like this is just a different reality, a little bit similar to ours when it comes to the density. But if you pay attention to the air, it's literally like dragging you down. So when I went inside this black hole system, because my coding is allowing me for that, because I need to save the souls from that space, which I do a lot lately on my work with people, I felt stuck for a moment. I was like, oh, I think I'm just going to stay there. I don't know how to even ascend up, because the portal has opened, and it was open, but I didn't feel like it was sucking me back.
Yeah.
But I had to take a few deep breaths, and I came back, and I was coming back very, very slowly, but I managed to find a way back to my body, luckily. That was just a small digression, but what is happening inside those black hole systems is terrible, because these black hole systems are completely cut off from the energies of the source. So they need to use other ways. That's why they are stealing souls there. And that's why it's very important right now to restore our quantum fully. That's what I'm assisting with mostly, because people are having contracts with different collectives, and I'm breaking these contracts, bringing back these aspects of themselves back to their bodies. And this is actually one of the most important things that need to be done right now. People who suffer from depression, like lack of energy, it's like they are all the time having this mind fog. They are for sure in the black hole systems, a major part of them.
Would you care to intuitively put a percentage of this, or there's no need to go into the
I can
statistics?
tune in and ask, like, how many people on Earth are dealing with this?
Yeah, I mean, what sort of percentage of the world's population do you feel, and because they're being lured into the cave, into this
Yes.
inorganic situation, which
So
is Yeah.
What my higher self is telling me is that about 70% of us is having at least a little bit of a percentage of
Yeah.
their consciousness in the black hole system. Because there are also consciousness stolen into the astral realms, the lower astral, but with the black hole systems, it's recently like an epidemic, truly.
Wow.
So it's very important to get it back. And this is a big number because only 30 of us are like not attached to the phantom system. But that's why it's so important to fully make sure that your quantum is with you.
Yeah, because I find people, if they're not happy in themselves, they're not present. So when they're not present, they're going to invite um, shady characters to be present, because when you're present and you're happy, and you take ownership. You take ownership and responsibility, and you don't need to rely on anyone but yourself. And it's um if there's a question, shall we keep it at the end? Because I've got one question just come up now, and I was going to say, should we leave it to the end because
I think we
it's
will
reference
leave it
to what?
at the end. Yes, it's going to be the best. What
Yeah.
I just
Okay.
wanted to add here, what you said about the shade, that's a very good word to use, because also people who are stuck in the black hole systems, their energy gets poisoned to some degree, because it's like the channel is still connected to them. That's why how I'm finding these people, because I see the channel that is leading me to the black hole. And these energies are also poisoning the people, causing something called the dark flower. If a part of you is located in this abandoned wormhole in the center of our Milky Way galaxy, you are being dark flowered. Your plasma template is being distorted. So this is actually not just about your consciousness, but also the fact that your energetic structures are being very much defected. So
Um, can you recommend anything how we can be more protective over that? What exercises we can do emotionally, mentally, physically to create a firewall or a deterrent, to diffuse, to disarm, and not energize. I suppose it's not to. For me personally, it's holding that space where um, not to buy too much into the drama, but a lot is happening, but not to take it too overly personally, which is very, very difficult, because when you see how people are getting affected, but you have to just stay centered, because the temptation is there to get emotional yourself. So if you see someone who's in a lot of pain, your first automatic reaction is to cry with them, to hold their hands or
yes,
whatever. But if you want to raise the frequency, it's almost like um, not not necessarily lowering your frequency, but you're understanding what's going on, but holding the energy without too many exchange of words, because words have limitations. I mean, we know how this, with the spell words and what's going on. So it's more about understanding the frequency, and more with your own personal frequency. And again, with you're not gonna necessarily smile a lot when somebody's in a lot of pain, but you can smile in such a way, you don't have to smile too quickly where it can throw them off balance, but you got to find the mediocrity between the yin and
yes.
the yang, if that
But
makes sense.
even if we sometimes get a bit over emotional about something, it happens to us. After all, we are human. We feel a lot compassion. So
Well, this is it.
that's a
Yeah.
part of us. Even if that happens, I started doing that since last week actually, because I noticed a huge difference when I'm doing it in the evening after my whole day of interactions with people. I'm doing this small affirmation that is like all the energy that I have used today is coming back to me. And I'm taking a few slow breaths into my heart chakra and I expand it to my body. And if there are any specific moments where I felt like, okay, I think that I got a bit more concerned about this person and I was just like overthinking and I felt a little bit tired after it. I'm focusing on that moment and I imagine that this energy is coming back to me. The energy will still remain with that person, but it's like the source is returning me what I have wasted, not exactly wasted, what I have used, but it's being returned to me. So the source will always return us the energy that we have used for a certain purpose if this person didn't give it back to us. So that's a small exercise we can do. And with the power of this intention that I want all my energy to come back, we are going to be restoring the quantum we have used on a certain day and wake up in the morning with a lot of power to manifest and to co-create with the source.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for that. Right, should we move on to the next?
Just one word here.
Yes.
Because what happened after this Lyrian Elohim wars, I mean, can you imagine that these wars, if you counted, they were like 340 billion years, if my maths is correct, they were this long. So what happened is that there was a new race being created, a new race of guardians. And these are called the Azurite races. And they have been actually created from a cloister of all of the three founder races. So they were created from the Elohi Elohim, from the Seraphi Seraphim, and from the Braharama races. So the Azurite races, they are actually having one of the most advanced codings in the whole universe because they carry the coding of all of the founder races. And they came into existence in order to assist the universe in this very challenging time and to protect the stargates so the Aramatena doesn't fall again and to fix the damage that has already been done.
Great, thank you for that. Okay.
We can proceed.
Yep.
Okay, so what happened here is that 360 billion years ago, our Milky Way galaxy has separated from the Andromeda galaxy, because in the past, Andromeda and Aquinos, which is our Milky Way, has been one galaxy. They were in union, but they split. This has also been a major damage actually in the plasma template. So when we are looking into this, we realize that in the current times, and it's even being predicted by the scientists, that these galaxies are again coming to meet each other. And that's what is going to happen actually not in a few billion years or million, I don't know how many years the scientists are predicting, but energetically it's going to happen much sooner. And Andromeda is right now actually like a host galaxy for our Milky Way. Because our Milky Way, when it got split from the Andromeda, it has received a phantom fall status. But right now, it's being hosted through Andromeda in order to restore and fix the damage that has been done in the plasma template. So this is a really great news for our galaxy. And well, the cause of this damage is actually the black hole that we see in the center. That the scientists think that it's going to just drag us into it and everything will finish. That's not true. That's not going to happen, because Milky Way is going to be again an internal life system. And this is all thanks to the Andromeda, which is hosting us.
Great. That's reassuring to know. Great stuff. I personally don't have any feeling I need to ask a question at this point, but
yeah, we can proceed.
Proceed. Okay. Here we are.
Okay, so this is going to give us a little bit of more context on how actually the human race was created. Because we are like, okay, well, we had the Elohim, then the Azorites. How come do we have the angelic human right now, which we are? So what happened later on was more and more wars, more and more conflicts. I didn't even list all of them. I wanted to list the ones that I found the most significant for us to understand what happened. So, Gaia and Orion are systems in dimension 8. So we kind of see that throughout the years, the eons, this drama has been escalating, and at first it was like in density 4, in dimensions 10, 11, and 12, and then it has descended actually to density 3, dimensions 7, 8, and 9. This event was very significant because actually in dimension 8 we have something called the metagalactic core. The metagalactic core is like, you could say that you could even say like it's the center of our galaxy, of our universe. So if any serious damage happened to the metagalactic core, well, we would be in a terrible situation. Here I wrote the expansion of the Death Star Merkaba, because actually what I mean by that is that more and more Metatronic distortions started to occur in this universe, in this time matrix. We started to have a lot of weapons that were created by the fallen races against us to completely wipe out the angelic human races. Because actually the angelic humans, we are dating back to the Elohi races. Well, some of the Azorites have fallen. As I said before, they were created as the guardians of this universe. What happened during the Gaian-Orion Wars is that angelic humans, because that's actually the angelic humans started a lot before Earth. Let's say like the prototype of the current angelic human, well, this is us, but we had our beginnings in higher densities. And so we were trying to save some of the Azorites that got stuck in the black hole systems. They were basically, during these Gaian wars, they were trapped in these black hole matrices, and we didn't want them to fall. We wanted to help them. That was our purpose. But many of us, in the meantime, also have fallen into the same black hole matrix, trying to save them, but being trapped there as well. That's why there needed to be a new strain of races created. And these are actually the Turanusiam races. The Turanusiam races have been created on Tara in dimension 5. And people who are talking about dimension 5 and us coming back there, well, it was supposed to be this way, but that was like 23 years ago. Not anymore. Because Gaia has fallen, Tara has fallen, and right now Earth is being hosted in another way. We will be talking about this in the future, but I want to focus right now on how it actually happened. So we can proceed, because I'm gonna carry on with the story.
Yes, I shall.
Thank you. Okay. So the evolution on Tara. So what happened after the Gaian-Orion Wars is a decision had to be made, because actually the Guardians could have made this decision all along, that they could have closed the Phantom Matrix and there would be no problem anymore. But the thing is that they had so much love in their hearts that even if those reptilians, if all those races were just attacking them, they had no heart to just make them stuck in this system and die. So the decision was made that they will keep the Phantom Matrix open, but they will create a new angelic human race, Turanusium race, that is going to begin to be like the new guardians of the Stargates, this time on Tara, in Dimension 5. And paradoxically, at the same time, the Anu races that I was talking about a little bit in the beginning, they also created a strain of new races that were called the Anunnaki, which means the Avengers of the Anu. So they were actually created to destroy us. That was their main intention and their main purpose. This is very sad, and it's like many of the Anunnakis later on actually decided to take their bioregenesis and to become Christic, learn how to actually be good and show love. But at first their primal intention was to actually destroy us. So the whole drama that started back then, it started on Tara with 2 different tribes. I mean, there were 12 tribes, but there were mostly like these 2 core ones were the Alanians and the Lumians. And they were actually evolving on the continent called Eden. That's where this name is coming from. And what happened again is that due to many of the manipulations, again, we have been deceived. The Templar Solar Initiates came to this planet, to Tara, and at first they seemed to be our friends. We started taking different guests, not just like those races that were watching over our evolution, but different stellar races. They started breeding with us, messing with our templates. And the Templar Solar Initiates, they actually started to make different sorts of manipulations with the planetary core of Tara. To cut the long story short, they made the planetary core explode, and a part of Tara got separated from the planet, like it broke into pieces. It actually got shattered into 12 pieces, and those 12 pieces went through the core of the sun, and they actually descended to dimension 3. Density 1, dimension 3. And they created our solar system. So Mercury, Venus, Mars, and so on, they are all parts of Tara actually. But they absolutely lost their connection, just like Earth did. So right now, they are all also getting this host back, but it's taking place mainly through Earth because of its connection to the Universal Stargate 3. So the cataclysm that happened on Tara made us go back in time. We fell into the past timeline. So actually what Tara did was coming back to the past, where it again had to repeat the mistakes it has done in the past, where again it had to go through its lessons. Because Tara has fell even before that, but it managed to integrate, and then there it happened again. On this image, with these different identity levels, I would like to explain people a little bit what it's about with this Gaia, Aromatena and stuff, because we've got these identity levels, and each one of them is actually corresponding to each of the densities. So if we've got our incarnate, it's corresponding to Earth. Our incarnates are on Earth. Our soul identity is corresponding to Tara. So actually the fall of Tara was also like the fact that many of the souls got fragmented into pieces, and they had to begin their incarnational cycles on Earth in order to be able to put these pieces together and to gain back this integrity. Oversoul identity is corresponding to Gaia. So when some things happen on Gaia during this Gaian-Orion Wars, the oversoul pieces also had to be put together. So we were progressively being shattered into pieces, and now we are putting it all together. The Christos avatar identity is corresponding to Aramatena. So actually, if you fully integrate your D12 consciousness, dimensions up from 1 to 12, you are a Christos avatar. So Joshua, Jesus, called by some people, he was actually originally coming from dimension 12 to us to bring us the pure knowledge of how we can actually gain back our connection with ourselves.
Great. Beautifully said.
So I think this was the last slide. So just to kind of share the frequency of this code, this is our Akasha with this big Katara grid, 4 Veka quadrants, so this middle-sized Katara grids and the smallest Katara grid in the center, which is like the core, and it's called an Eka. So this is our Akasha system. That's how it looks like. So
wow,
that's the end of the presentation. That was quite a lot.
that's great, Olivia. Well done. Let me just. Here we are again.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I mean, there weren't many questions at this stage, but there were just one or two. Which do you want to take one or two now, or
Absolutely. We can go.
I mean, it was just when you were talking about the dark hole. This individual, I don't know who it is. How do you think that it's connected to the black hole in your eyes? I'm not sure how that can be correlated. If you can see anything with.
I think that it's quite interesting because when I'm often seeing different races, like the center of their eyes, it's very often actually white, pure white.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be connected. That's quite an interesting way to look at it, and that's actually like the first thing that is coming to my mind.
Great, and we have another one. Hi everyone. Can Olivia use the 6 base questions, which I've noted these questions before with this individual. The questions are what, where, when, how, and who, and why we and all life exists. So it's a very powerful to understand the meaning behind the essence of our journey. Does that correlate with? Does it trigger something that you want to add to that
Yes,
question?
because we've been talking about the black holes a little bit. We've been talking about all these kinds of stuff, which might seem a little bit even sad to some degree, but we need to understand that we all came from that source, which the pure intention of the creation of everything was true love, pure essence. So we have been created with love. The fact that some of us, because they are actually us, even those who fell, they are parts of us, the parts of that we are also trying to integrate right now. That's why we are here, that's why you are here on this planet, that's why I'm here. They are also a parts of the same source. So so even if it seems a bit challenging in this place sometimes, we need to remember about the purpose, why we came here, and that it's all coming. It's supposed to come back to integrity, and it will, in its right divine timing.
Yeah, that's extremely powerful.
Everything comes back to the source eventually.
Yeah, that's my way of operating as well, because and the way the activation is done is for me, I truly see myself in people and how we interact and how we treat people is an expression of how we're treating ourselves. So if
Yes.
you're, on a simple term, if you're kind to yourself, you're going to be kind to others. If you're abrasive to yourself, you're going to be abrasive to others. So it's nice to take time out and be gentle, be loving, and that's the way forward. You know, treat people how you want to be treated. But again, you people, if they can come out with the victim mentality, again, the temptation is always there because the drama is all around. And if people are pulled, when we talk about dark horse and the way sometimes the media is representing information,
You know
then
why people like drama so much?
Mhm.
Because the drama is attracting the energy.
Right.
And there are people who have the black holes in their own energetic systems. So they feel like they need this, they need to suck in the energy in order to survive. This is like an addiction. It's like a drug, the worst drug. So
Yeah.
they're like, yes, I need this energy and I get it. I take it to my body and I just keep doing this because I get addicted to it. And I fall into these victimizer games until some event in my life, sooner or later, makes me realize that the karma is going to come for me sooner or later. So I need to start taking responsibility for myself. Because if I'm responsible for myself, I know how to manage my energies and I can be an example for others.
That's very powerful. Yeah. I mean, reference to the hamster wheel analogy that people are on, it's quite interesting how things just repeat. And, one needs to come out of that box entirely and put yourself into an uncharted space, somewhere you've never been before, which is quite daring. Actually, you've got to be a bit daring and push yourself from that place that isn't creating that kind of comfort. But comfort can have different entry levels. Like for me, it's good to be comfortable, but for me, complacent, I don't like to be complacent too much. I like change. For me, it's like, because I genuinely believe that the way things evolve, um i- you're not needed. Remember earlier we were talking about the word need. If you're operating from scarcity, then they understand it, because competition, you're chasing, whether it's fame, attention, and money and stuff, you know um but when you're in a place where you feel that you're the richest person on planet Earth, and again, I define richness in terms of peace of mind,
Yes.
because if you are so at peace with yourself, then you don't need to chase any. In fact, they're more likely to chase you. I mean, for example, when you are going places and you're leaving an everlasting impression of gratitude, thank you, and I can't do enough for you, then you don't really need anything, really. I mean, you just people just give. They give. They can't give. They can't
The
not give.
universe is providing for you. The reason why people are afraid of change is that they are afraid they will get out of their sense of comfort. Um, it's like um, it's like the way it is that we have to we must have this thing in ourselves that we are certain of the divine plan that the source has for us, and we are actually not chasing anything, as my friend has said here, we are also maintaining. Yes, we maintain the energy that the source has given us, and it's a matter of managing it, because as I said a while ago, we are actually the source is always giving us a backflow of the energy as long as we have used it for Christic intentions. So if you showed gratitude towards someone, if you showed compassion, if you showed love, if you gave something to someone, you will receive the backflow return from the source, as long as you did it with the Christic intention.
And that is the real true currency, if there is one, because it's the merit, it's the spiritual merit, the, like we put it, the unconditional, again, because you're operating from not need, because if genuinely you are at peace with yourself. Why are you at peace yourself? Because if you can ask these six base questions and you understand the essence of your evolution, and you're conscious of why you open your eyes, then you are truly Christ conscious individual. And you're here to create that powerful impression of raising, and what you said earlier, reference to not necessarily upgrading. It's going, because we're in this kind of past situation where we're kind of like fixing, we're putting right.
Restoring.
Restoring is the word. Restoring is the word. So it's restoration work, So I'll take one more, and maybe we've just gone over the. I mean, time flies when you're having fun. I mean, we've just gone.
Exactly. We could go on for 5 hours like this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few coming out. I mean, people that are out of the harmonic alignment with their source subconsciously create events to get energy from others in their environment. In other words, when people have been abusive situation, give their power away as a victim. They're driven by mental and emotional distortion and their own biology and chemistry. People that argue get into a power struggle from the false light matrix. I mean, it's nice. It's nice to have a debate. It's you kind of exchanging
Yes,
energy.
but actually also falling into the victim position, that's a completely another topic, because many of us are many people have been put into this position where they are like, yeah, I'm poor, I'm not having this, I'm not having that, I was hurt by this person, that person, but actually they don't do anything to make their situation better. It's like they are in this state of like, yeah, I accept my destiny, and they think they don't have the power in their hands, and they either start to give their power to somebody else, or somebody else is like taking their power away from them. I mean, that's what the governments are trying to do since ages, since the beginning. So reclaiming our power is the key here, to either stop being a victimizer, because if you are a victimizer, then you also don't rely on your own energies, you're taking it away from others, so you don't have your own self-power. So we need to understand truly that it's actually, these situations are very much in correspondence to each other, in correlation. So reclaiming our own power and the management of our own personal energies, clearing our template from anything that we see is not harmonic, and living and always treating the people the way we would like to be treated.
Absolutely, absolutely. and that includes other species of beings on the planet, I guess, is what. Excuse me, my voice is just went. So it's like, do not even impose on the freedom of others. Give them the space, and because it's not about control. So no, this has been so wonderful, Olivia. It's it's been great connecting with you again, and I'm sure we are going to have another part to.
Yes,
Do you,
because I
yeah,
don't think we mentioned that in the beginning, but this is going to be like, I don't know how many parts, because I would like to give more insight on what happened after
okay,
we
yes,
started to put our pieces together on this planet, on the events called the Electric Wars, and all sorts of these fascinating events. We're going to take a
yes.
journey to the Great Pyramids as well.
Oh, that's exciting.
So there's going to be a lot to come, and also a little bit of this contemporary drama, contemporary times, where
Yes,
we're going to get more in depth into what circumstances this planet is going to evolve. It's not going to die, it's going to be eternal, it's going to actually transform into an eternal planet, a noble planet that it already is. So that's something to look forward to.
absolutely.
I cannot hear you.
Sorry about that. I just muted myself. So, sending lots of love and kisses, and to our beautiful viewers as well. Thank you very much for being part of this wonderful connection. And we look forward to inviting beautiful Olivia in the next 10 days, fortnight. I don't know when, but when we do,
We'll
we'll
see when it resonates.
exactly, we'll put the banner out and have our beautiful guests and viewers to participate. But for the time being, stay safe, keep smiling, and sending big love to everyone. And
Likewise, much love to you, Barrett. Thank you for hosting me at the
uh,
Bioactivator again, and thank you to all of the audience watching us, activating along with us. Much love to you all.
thank you. Take care.
Bioactivator would like to thank you for your kind support and donations. Through Barrett Tunian's guardianship of this platform, his activation of truth harmonizes, neutralizes, and unblocks the meridians that connect, balance, and purify all that comes in contact. Do no harm is the key that fully opens the heart's voice to be in the union of the I Am presence, and will represent every living organism on the planet whose voice would otherwise not be heard. Remember, the truth will set you free. Do no harm, cause no loss, and do not impose upon the freedom of others. Love, light, and gratitude.